Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into my college football week number 3 recap, where I go through all of the FPI analytical rankings and talk about where teams are going right now. You can see Ohio State back up to number 1. It was a very impressive win for the Buckeyes, really their first impressive win of the season. They're up to around 28 points there. You can see up one spot. You've got Oklahoma at number 2. Yeah, so Oklahoma's an interesting case. They destroy Arkansas State week 1 by 73 points. Week 2, they easily win. And then this week, just annihilating Tulsa on the road. 66 points for them, and they're just performing great in terms of the analytics. So Oklahoma, we all know right now they don't deserve to be a top 2 or top 3 team, but certainly they're a top 10 team in college football. Dillon Gabriel just looks ridiculous. They've got a good defense, and them being ranked 19th, I mean, I'm sure they're going to move up, but it's just crazy to me. You have Georgia remaining at number 3. Kind of a weird game against South Carolina, down 14-3 in the first half. They come back. Guys, don't let anyone tell you that Georgia is this super hot power this year. They're really not. And it's nothing against Georgia, but with Carson back, I mean, they're very beatable. And that's just how it is this year with college football. Ohio State has flaws. Georgia has flaws. Alabama, obviously, they're sitting at number 4 because this is a model that doesn't overreact. It's all analytical based. I know people think Alabama should be down significantly, and obviously they probably should be outside of the top 10 right now, but the analytics have them at number 4. They are down 3 spots, and it seems like they're going to keep dropping. You've got USC. They had a bye week. They played in week 0, so they actually get 2 bye weeks during the regular season. They're sitting at number 5. You've got Penn State up 1 spot. They beat Illinois in kind of a boring game, but they're up to number 6. Texas is down 1 spot. What a bad performance against Wyoming. I'm sure people are just going to be like, well, I mean, it's an unmotivated game. It's a 7 o'clock local time start against a Wyoming team. You know, they're 28-point favorites, but still not a good performance. They were tied with Wyoming early in the 4th quarter. They end up pulling that game out. You've got Oregon just destroying these bad teams. They crushed Hawaii. They are up 3 spots to number 8. I think Oregon's a really good team, and obviously they've got Colorado this week, so they're going to be into the national spotlight. LSU up 4 spots. I'm not buying LSU at all. So they beat Mississippi State. To me, it really doesn't matter. It's funny they have LSU above Florida State. I mean, come on, folks. Yeah, Florida State down significantly, down 5 spots. It was a really bad performance against Boston College. You can say, look, it's an early noon start time against a terrible team. They're 24-point favorites on the road, early morning, but you barely beat Boston College, and Boston College had 18 penalties. I think Florida State loses to Clemson. I love Clemson this year, especially after everyone wrote them off in week 1. I said, listen, I think Clemson destroys Florida Atlantic, and that's what they did yesterday. They backed me up. So Florida State, I think Jordan Travis, the jury, I loved Jordan Travis last year and into this year. That's why I had Florida State beating LSU week 1. But now it's like I'm almost off of the bandwagon with Florida State. Even though you can say, well, it was just 1 game. It was what it was, on the road, tough noon start time. When you've got a team like Boston College, 18 penalties, and you only win that game by 2 points, Jordan Travis almost gets injured. It looked like a really bad injury, but he was able to come back very quickly after halftime. And then you have Washington. I mean, Washington's got to be a top 10 team. Michigan State's not very good, but you go on the road as like 14-point favorites or 16-point favorites in a 5 o'clock start, West Coast to East Coast. And, I mean, Michael Penix, it's really just every game, or Penix, excuse me, every game, it's 450 passing yards and 4 touchdowns. It's a machine, but Washington is in a very tough Pac-12. We'll see. Right now, they're probably the 7th or 8th best team, maybe even better in college football. I'd probably put them above Oregon, certainly above LSU, my God, and probably, above Alabama, obviously, at this point as well. Notre Dame down 3 spots. Kind of their first rough performance of the year against a Central Michigan team who's terrible. They end up not covering the spread. They were up 17-14. That's not a great trend. And here it is, guys. You've got Notre Dame sitting at plus 20 points in terms of their FPI. You've got Ohio State at plus 28. That's an 8-point difference. Ohio State goes on the road at Notre Dame. Because Notre Dame has home field, that brings Notre Dame, or that gives Notre Dame 3 more points. So the FPI is saying Ohio State at Notre Dame, the spread in that game should be Ohio State -5, or maybe Ohio State -4.5. That's what the FPI is saying. The Buckeyes will be favorites against the Fighting Irish. It's going to be a great game. Sam Hartman has looked phenomenal, but Notre Dame may be a little lax because they're looking ahead. They really weren't in trouble in this game, but it was a game where you look at the final score, 41-17. Yeah, but they outscored Central Michigan 10-0 in the fourth quarter. So really, it was even closer than that, and they don't end up covering. You've got Ole Miss down a spot. You know, I'm really not a believer in Ole Miss. I think they've been propped up by that win against Tulane without Michael Pratt. This is a big one. Michigan down 4 spots. You can say what you want about Michigan, but right now it's just, you know, without Harbaugh, I don't know. The game against Bowling Green, the J.J. McCarthy 3 interceptions against BGSU, that's a red flag right there. But again, you can say, oh, they're sleepwalking, whatever. They've got Rutgers next week. And I think that's a great get-right game for Michigan because people are going to start propping Rutgers up and saying, oh, Rutgers is this decent team now. Guys, Rutgers has no talent, I'm sorry. And Michigan's going to throttle them next week, and everyone's going to overreact and be like, oh my goodness, Michigan is back because they beat a bunch of 2-stars at home. Guys, let's not overreact when Michigan crushes Rutgers. That's what they're going to do, I guarantee it. The narrative's going to be Harbaugh's back and this Michigan team is great. Yeah, guys, Rutgers, they beat a Virginia Tech team that was like missing half their team. They missed their flight. It was a joke. Let's not overreact when Michigan beats Rutgers next week. Michigan is struggling right now. They're not blowing out teams like they should, and you can say, well, it's because they don't have Harbaugh, but I mean, against Bowling Green, you're like, it's 14-6 at halftime. That's disturbing at home. Then you've got Miami at number 15, so they beat Bethune-Cookman on Thursday, I think. Yeah, they don't move at all. Syracuse is up 2 spots. I'll give Syracuse, this is what Syracuse does every year now. Didn't Syracuse start out 5-0 last year? Well, I mean, they did beat Purdue. I thought Purdue was going to win that game. Syracuse, they silenced me. They did shut me up. You give them credit. Clemson is looking really good right now. Clemson, they might be a top 10 team right now, honestly. They're looking phenomenal. They crush FAU at night, and now they've got FSU in a huge game. They've got the momentum. We will see. A&M is up 1 spot. I mean, A&M was in a weather delay. I don't even know what happened with the A&M game against UL Monroe. It was in a, did they even play? I guess they did play it because they're 2-1. That game was in a weather delay, and then it just disappeared. I didn't even see what happened. You've got Utah down 3 spots. I don't believe in Utah at all. So the AP voters, there's no nuance with these people. They just keep moving Utah up because they win games, when in reality, they're not impressive. I know you can say, oh, they're without Cam Rising, and it's like, oh, now the Utah win against Florida gets even better. Please, guys. Utah at this point, the FPI is absolutely right. They're maybe the 19th or 20th best team. The AP poll has them at number 12, possibly moving up. They're not that good, folks. They're going to get crushed in the Pac-12. They're going to lose 4 games. And I like Utah. I love the program. It's not going to work out this year. You have Oregon State down 3 spots at number 20. DJ Uiagalelei, a little problem spot. The 2 interceptions. He was 14-30 against San Diego State. Big game next week at Washington State, and that is a good game for Oregon State. This is why I thought Oregon State was going to be so good this year. All their tough games are manageable. Like, you're facing Washington State on the road, but it's a team you can beat. And then you've got a lot of home games. Oregon State, they need to win next week at Washington State, though, for sure. You have UCF. Yes, UCF should be ranked. They are a good team. They're 3-0. Kansas State should be a lot lower than 22, folks. Let's be honest. They lose to Mizzou. They're not that good this year. North Carolina up 3 spots. It was a semi-impressive win against Minnesota. They easily covered the spread. Tennessee down 2 spots. Yeah, so I'm guessing Tennessee is still going to be ranked. The performance against Florida was very strange because Florida completely turtled in the second half. Tennessee outgained Florida by like 300 yards almost in the second half, but you can see Tennessee in front of Florida there. Yeah, man, Florida, you got to love the swamp. You know, should Florida be a top 25 team right now? I don't think so. It was an impressive win. They kind of just, again, in the second half, it was very strange. It was like they were just trying to run the clock out with like 14 minutes to go in the third quarter. Like they didn't even try and score. And you could say, well, the officiating, but no. Tennessee needs to start the true freshman, Nico Lamanleva. You've got Auburn. Yeah, Auburn, they should be down like to 46 or 47, honestly. They're 3-0, whatever. UCLA looks good, possibly a top 25 team. Dante Moore and Chip Kelly, it's crazy. He's a true freshman. They're getting him game reps as a true freshman. He's going to be a beast as a sophomore and a junior. Wow. And then Louisville, they're down one spot. They beat Indiana barely. They should be significantly lower than that. You can see Duke up 9 spots for beating Northwestern. TCU up 7 spots. They beat Houston. SMU up 9 spots. SMU looking better now. And then you can see some of the bigger ones we're just going to go through. Cincinnati, a brutal loss, a rivalry loss to Miami of Ohio. They're down 13 spots. Mississippi State should be outside of the top 50 after that performance against LSU. That's disturbing. With Will Rogers, who's like in his 9th year, it's disgusting. Arkansas, the SEC, man, they're getting crushed right now. Arkansas loses at home to BYU, and that basically crushes them from being a potential top 25 team as well. And then there's just some other rankings I want to react to. Fresno State up 10 spots. They're 3-0 right now. You can see Baylor down 17 spots. Yeah, Baylor's having a rough year right now. Oklahoma State down 26 spots. They're still in front of South Alabama. But yeah, Oklahoma State losing to South Alabama, getting throttled at home. Colorado down 6 spots to number 64. So obviously Colorado is going to fall. If you beat Colorado State at home in double overtime, folks, that is not a good win. You know, you would think people would understand that, but yeah, Colorado is going to fall. They're down 6 spots as well. You can see Houston down significantly, Virginia Tech down significantly as well, but that is just kind of the update in terms of the rankings. And then just quickly taking a look at another analytical system, you can see, once again, Ohio State sitting as the number 1 overall team right now. This is all going to be tested. We'll see how they do at Notre Dame. They very easily could fall back. It's very congested. You can see you've got Georgia falling down 1.5 points to number 2. Oklahoma, they've beaten up on a bunch of bad teams, but they're doing what they should be doing. They're at number 3. USC at number 4. Bama down to number 5. Penn State, pretty consistently a top 6 team in all the analytics. FSU down a few spots there. LSU, I'm not buying LSU, folks. There's no way. Washington at number 9. Texas moves down. That's probably correct. You can see Oregon at number 11. Ole Miss is overrated in these analytics. Notre Dame down to number 13. Michigan down. Clemson is up. I agree with that. A&M is up 5 spots. Wow. So I guess A&M crushed UL Monroe then. You can see Utah down after kind of a bad performance against Weber State, but they're still without Cam Rising. Miami, and just see Tennessee down. I'm just going to kind of skim over the rest of these. You know, Florida up 4 spots, Duke up 5 spots, TCU up 5 spots. That's going to help Colorado because Colorado beat TCU. And then the overall weekly movers. The winner of the week, South Alabama, moving up 5 total points, up 17 spots. You can see SMU, Coastal Carolina, Boston College for their performance against FSU. And then the teams moving way down. Oklahoma State gets crushed. Cincinnati gets crushed. Florida State, Arizona State, Bama, Western Kentucky, UAB, Michigan State. So there are some teams right there. So guys, that is going to do it for my official college football week number 3 recap. Make sure you're following me on X. Link to that's always in the description.